Okay, so slope. Now, slope, the slope of a non-vertical line is the ratio in the change in the y-coordinate, which we call rise, to the change in the x-coordinate, which we call run, as you move from one point to another. This is the same exact thing as finding the rate of change. So it can be used to describe the rate of change. Slopes describe how steep a line is. The greater the absolute value of the slope, the steeper of the line. So here, this graph shows a line passing through the 2 points, -1, 3, and 2, -2. So right here. The slope is the rise over run. So rise is the change in the y-coordinates divided by the change in the x-coordinates. So when you do the change in the y-coordinates, you do the second y-coordinate minus the first one. So -2 minus 3 divided by the second x-coordinate minus the first x-coordinate. And the reason we're doing that is because we're trying to find the difference, the change in y, so you have to do the last minus the first, okay? So if you were trying to find the difference in ages between you and your parents, you would take your parents' age minus your age to find the difference. It's kind of similar thing going here. Now, notice that as you always read a graph from left to right, that this graph actually falls from left to right. And the y-coordinates don't really rise, they fall. So when we're talking rise in the context of slope, it can go up or down. It can rise by a positive amount or a negative amount. So the slope here would be -5/3. That means for every change in the y-coordinate goes down 5 units for every time the x-coordinate goes forward 3. You can think of it like that. So because a linear function has a constant rate of change, any 2 points on a non-vertical line can be used to determine its slope. So we could have picked 2 other points on the line. Now it's a little bit difficult here because the points don't fall right on a corner except at -1, 3 and 2, -2. Like if I tried to pick here and here to calculate the slope, those don't fall right on an integer on the graph, so it'd be kind of hard to get an accurate slope reading there. So here's the key concept for slope. The slope of a non-vertical line is the ratio of the rise over the run. The slope of any non-vertical line through 2 points, we'll call them x1, y1, and x2, y2, can be found as follows. You do the change in y, which is y2 minus y1, over the change in x, which is x2 minus x1. Okay, so make sure you always have to do this, the coordinate of the second y value minus the first one divided by the coordinate of the second x value minus the first one. So the slope of a line can be positive, negative, 0, or undefined, and we'll go through examples of those. If the line is not horizontal or vertical, then the slope is either positive or negative. So the line can be flat or vertical. If it's neither one of those, it's going to have some diagonalness to it, and it's either going to have a positive slope or a negative slope, depending if the line rises from the left to the right or falls from left to right. So let's find the slope of the line that passes through each pair of points. So -2, 0, and 1, 5. So I could do change in y over change in x, or rise over run. And what I like to do is label the points. I'd call this one x1, y1, and these two x2, y2, and that helps me out a lot. Oops, put a 1 there. Because then I can just fill in the slope formula. So I would do 5 minus 0 over 1 minus -2, and you get 5/3. Now, it always helps to reinforce your answer if you graph the 2 points and draw a line. Notice if you graph the 2 points and draw a line, the line rises from left to right, which corresponds with our positive slope. Since the slope's positive, that's indicating that the line should rise from left to right. So if you graph your line using the 2 points, and it goes in the opposite direction than what your answer says, you know you probably did something wrong. In other words, if I got a positive slope and the line actually was falling from left to right, I know I did something wrong. How about this one? -3, 4, and 2, -3. Again, I'd label them x1, y1, x2, y2. and then I do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I get negative 7/5. So if I graph the 2 points, the line should fall from left to right. And notice I go down 7, forward 5 to get from this point to this point. And this last one, -3, -1, 2, -1. First, I label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Then I subtract y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And here the slope is 0. So if you graph these 2 points, -3, -1 is right here, and 2, -1 is right here. If you draw a line through those 2 points, you get a horizontal line. And notice the line's not increasing, it's not rising, it's not decreasing, it's not falling, it's simply flat. So the rate of change is 0 because the graph doesn't go up at all, and it doesn't rise at all, and it doesn't fall at all. It just stays the same. So the slope is 0. Okey-doke. Here's a couple for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to do 3 of these and then just tell you the answers for the other one. For A, you want to label the points x1, y1, and x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 would be 8 minus 6 over x2 minus x1. So that would be 2 over 1 or 2. Going to also do for D, which would be 7 minus 7 over -2 minus 6, which is 0 over -8, which is 0. So that line would just be flat. Okay, so if I actually graph that one, point here, and it's just a flat line. If I go back up to the first one here, and I graph these 2 points, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4, 8 be right here. And if you graph the line, you can see that it rises from left to right. Good thing, because I got a positive slope. Okay, and F. If I plot those points, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. What kind of slope should I get just by looking at the graph? Right, I should get a negative slope. So I would do 11 minus 3 over -1 minus 4, which gives me 8 over -5, which is -8/5. So the line does fall. Okay, so the slope is negative. All right, for B, you should have got 0. For C, you should have got 4. And for E, would simplify to -1/2. Okay, so hope those answers help you out there. Alrighty, so let's talk about what it means to have an undefined slope. So we'll find the slope of the line that passes through -2, 4 and -2, 3. So again, label your points x1, y1, x2, y2. Put them into the slope formula, and you get -7 over 0. Now remember, you cannot divide by 0, so the answer technically is undefined. If you graph these 2 points, you would have -2, 4, and -2, -3. They're directly above one another, so it's going to have a vertical line. A vertical line has an undefined slope. Now, it's not rising, it's not falling, it's not flat, it's just straight up and down. Okay, if you think about it, there's no run to the graph. It doesn't go to the left or to the right at all. It just goes straight up and down. So it's an undefined slope. So here's 2 for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video and hit play when you're ready. Okay, we're back. So for 5A, you would have 7 minus 3 over 6 minus 6, which is 4 over 0. So that is undefined. Okay, so be careful. If it ended up being 0 over 4, that would equal 0. You can divide 0 by any number except 0, but you're not allowed to actually divide by 0, okay? So how I think about it is, if I had 0 over 4, I always think oranges. If I had 0 oranges and I divided them up by 4 people, you would have, each person would get 0 oranges, right? Well, if I had 4 oranges and I divided them up by 0 people, you couldn't do it. You can't pass them out to people because there's nobody to pass them out to, so it's undefined. I don't know if that helps you. If not, you can just forget that I said it. Okay, 5b, you would do -1 minus 2 over -3 minus -3, which gives you -3 over 0, so that's undefined. And again, the answer is undefined, not -3 over 0, not 0, not none, it's undefined, okay? Alrighty, so the graphs of lines with different slopes are summarized here. Positive slope, the line goes up from left to right. Negative slope, the line goes down from left to right. Slope of 0 is just a horizontal line or a flat line, and an undefined slope is a vertical line, okay? All right, so here's one last one. This is kind of like a challenge problem. I like these ones. Find the value of r so that the line through the points 1, 4 and -5, r has a slope of 1/3. Now here, normally you take the 2 points, put them in the change in y over change in x formula, simplify it, and you get the slope. Well, here we know the slope and we're missing one of the values. So what we could do is substitute everything we know. We know the slope. We don't know y2, but we know y1, we know x2, we know x1. So substitute everything in. 1/3 equals r minus 4 over -5 minus 1. Simplify a little bit. 1/3 equals r minus 4 over -6. Now, you can just solve this like you would a normal equation. So you're going to cross multiply, and you get 3 times the quantity r minus 4. Remember, put parentheses in here because the 3 has to multiply everything in the numerator, equals 1 times -6. So distribute here. 3r minus 12 equals -6. Add 12 to both sides. Then divide by 3, and you get r equals 2. So the line goes through the point -5, 2. So here you go. Here's a couple for you to try. Hit pause and then play the video when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, we're back. So the first one here, I would do -4 minus 6 over -2 minus r equals -5. Now, if we're cross multiplying, well, we could just simplify the numerator. So that'd be -10 over -2 minus r equals -5. Now, if you're cross multiplying, it might be helpful if you put the -5 over 1. So you'd have -10 times 1 equals -5 times oops, see what I did there? I messed up the slope formula. So strike that. So you have -4 minus 6 over r minus -2 equals -5. I'll put that over 1. So -10 over r plus 2 equals -5 over 1. Cross multiply, -10 times 1 equals -5 times r plus 2. So -10 equals -5r minus 10. So you add 10 to both sides, you get 0 equals -5r. Divide both sides by -5. Now again, you can do 0 divided by -5, that's fine. So r equals 0. Okay, so that's the value of r for that problem. Now let's do 6b. So I have -8 minus -6 over 5 minus r equals -8. Put it over 1. So that would be -2 over 5 minus r equals -8 over 1. Cross multiply, I'm going to put it over here. You'd have -2 times 1 equals -8 times 5 minus r. Now we can distribute, so -2 equals -40 plus 8r. Add 40 to both sides, you get 30. 8 equals 8r. Divide both sides by 8, and you get r equals 19 over 4, or 4.75. And again, it's okay if you get a fraction for your answer or a decimal like this. Okie doke. All right, guys, well, that's it for this section. Please continue on to your assignment. As always, reach out to me if you need any help. Take care and make it a great day.